What's up, people? I am back. I was initially not gonna do this, but I decided to do the video. But today's video, I am gonna be doing an updated Halloween ranking since, obviously Halloween Kills came out. I've been trying to do this video the past few days, but, um, shit came up, so. But since Halloween Kills came out, I figured, it's time to do an updated ranking. And it's time because Halloween Kills came out, and I'll admit I'm a little inebriated. I'll admit that, but this franchise to me has done me right the last few years. There are definitely some shit films, obviously, but I think they really largely did a good job of you know doing Myers right, even in some of the bad sequels, minus like H2O, and it kept like his name in the ether to where like look at where Michael is now. Of all the slasher killers, in my view, I mean obviously his franchise the highest grossing considering how many Michael movies there have been. But this franchise to me, when it gets right, like the good ones are so good. Obviously there are some shitty films, but I think the last, I would say 11 years, no, 10 years, sorry. 10 years I've been a Halloween fan, and I would, I think it's a good thing the sequels happen. I understand John Carpenter, the original intention, but you could say that about any franchise. Like, oh, there was only going to originally be, like, who knows? There could have been a timeline, there could have been only been one Terminator film, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, Michael Myers is a household fucking name now in horror. So I think it was a good thing the sequels happened, even some of the bad ones. So, um, on I think yeah, tomorrow I will do my list of my favorite Michaels from specific films. It will. I think the list will pretty much be actor slash the Michael from that whatever movie I'm talking about. So that'll be tomorrow. On Monday, I will be doing another Jet Li movie. Um, I'll be reviewing the movie Unleashed. So that'll be on Monday. But other than that, we're gonna get to my updated ranking. As you know, there's not gonna be Season of the Witch on here. I will eventually review that movie at some point this year. Not, you know what? I might review this film this year. I might review it like either the end of the month, maybe like if I'm in the mood, I might do it on Halloween, and I just review it as like Season of the Witch. Because to me, if you take the Halloween name out, it's a really good film. So I might review it. I'll review it soon. And as you saw my last franchise review, when I reviewed it, when I initially did the franchise, I have a 1A and 1B with Halloween 1 and 2. Because to me, Halloween 1 and 2 are like, it's that story, the 1978 story. To me, Halloween 2 is the true follow up. I like a lot of the other sequels, but to me, Halloween 2 is the true follow up. And I think it's that good. I think there are some points, obviously, it's not as great as the first one. The first one is truly the greatest one, but I do put it as 1B. So that'll be up. I will talk about that when I get to that. So it'll be the 10 Michael Myers movies. So we're 11, so technically. But I guess we'll get started here. So number 10 is, so we're at the worst of the worst. Sorry if you hear noises in the franchise. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I mean, of course, like this film is like an insult. One, like, it's badly made. I just it almost feels like Rob Zombie didn't even make a movie. He made like a fucking just music video. And the biggest thing, what they do to Loomis, like, and I, as someone who liked the first one, I like the first remake for what it is, and you just spit on what they did with Loomis in that. You make him such a piece of shit character to where there's even a scene he gets dunked on by fucking Weird Al Yankovic. You know, and I like Weird Al as a musician, but really, you're gonna write a scene where fucking Weird Al dunks on him? Michael is unmasked half the fucking movie, and not even just unmasked. He looks like shit. He looks like literally just a giant hobo. What? And they make Lori so unlikable, like to where I'm like, I just want this bitch to die. The scene especially. I'm not gonna go too into the movies, but I happen to mention this where she goes in on Annie. That scene, ugh, she's so unlikable in that. So yeah, overall, fuck this movie. I think the only positive is Annie's death was well done, and the scene where uh, Sheriff Brackett finds her was well executed. So that's my number 10. Number 9 is um, Halloween H2O. And I understand this is an unpopular choice. A lot of people love this movie. There's people who put this up there with like the first two. I disagree. I think this is one of the worst. It was only made, in my view, because it was the late 90s. This was that post Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer kind of era of slashers. So I feel like they only made this film just to capitalize on that. And it didn't really feel like they made it to capitalize on it's the 20 years after the original film. I only think they did that just to do, oh guys, it's the late 90s. And it was made by Dimension at the time, who also did the Scream films. So we did this film just because they were probably thinking, let's revive Michael Myers in the late 90s era for the modern horror audience. And that's what we got with H2O. One, Chris Durand. So this will be a spoiler for my worst Michael in the entire franchise. Chris Durand. And this version of Michael in his films, anyway. He is awful. He's not scary. And you're supposed to tie this movie, because this is the movie where, in my view, the whole fracturing of the timeline started, because this film disregarded 4 through 6. And it's like, if you're gonna do that and only tie it to the original two, Michael Myers is a big part of those two films, and you ruin him. He's not scary. The masks are fucking shit. There's no, like, the kills are weak. There's just not a lot to this movie. Like, the middle portion, nothing happens. The characters very much. I saw someone review this film and say, like, it's like if Michael Myers was on Dawson's Creek. It was that. It really was. And Josh Hartnett, who's not a bad actor, like, I don't know if it was the same year or a year later or a few years later, he did the film The Faculty. He was way better in that. I didn't think he was that good in this. He just was kind of there. Like, everyone else was there. Besides, like, Jamie Lee Curtis, who's, like, I guess you could say is the only really good performance in the film, is her. And that's it, so. And the fact that the music is, like, some of the worst parts of the movie. And this is supposed to be tied to the original, too, where, once again, that score of those original two films is phenomenal. And then in this, the score is just straight up. There's points where the chase music is the Scream chase music. As someone who's Scream so many times, the straight up chase music they use in this is Scream. So I just had to go in, but I didn't want to go too long about it. Halloween H2O is my number 9. My number 8 is Halloween Resurrection. This film is bad, I will admit. But if you take out the scene where Busta curses out Michael and the weird kung fu shit in the end, I think there's decent parts. Like, Michael is not completely ruined in it. Brad Lorray was okay. There's some solid kills. The way they killed Laurie was stupid. She doesn't. You don't even see her die. If you're gonna kill a character like Laurie, and I'm gonna go more into this when we get into some of the other films, but if you're gonna kill Laurie off, you gotta show her die. You cannot just like she gets stabbed and then she falls, and then you don't even really see her fall. You just see her fall into the trees, and then that's it. And then Michael climbs up, so you don't even actually see her die. It's so stupid. It's like that's such a shitty way to send Laurie off. You know, as someone who's even said in 2018 they probably should have killed Laurie off, you can't send her off like that. And the main lead they got for the film wasn't good. She was kind of boring. The honestly, Katie Sackhoff probably should have been the lead. I would have swapped it. That Katie Sackhoff should have been the main lead. The main lead in this was so boring. She didn't really pull off being like really scared. Like the scenes where Michael's chasing her. This is Michael fucking Myers in like the eighth film in the franchise. Where even in this, obviously he's supernatural, and she doesn't. Her fear didn't. It just did not come off believable. And like I said, there's some aspects I like. You take out the weird Busta shit. Obviously, Busta's some of the worst shit in this movie. A lot of people have gone in on this ad nauseum. That's why I'm not really going in on it. There's some decent Michael stuff. Like I think that there's some solid kills. At least Michael in this has some solid. The scene where he's killing the redhead girl and the entire chase, like the music was good. You had like that nice blue lighting, which you should always have with Michael Myers, like where his white mask can like almost glow in the dark. I think they did a good job with that. It's just there's some weird shit. But I will admit I like it slightly better than H2O, but yeah, it's still the bottom of the barrel of the franchise. Like it's kind of sad because there's some solid things in here. If you just change certain things around, this film could be good. So that's my number 8. Now we're kind of getting close to more of like the middle of the franchise. Now we're at number 7, which is Halloween 5. This film is one a lot of people hate. I never hated this film. I remember when I first was really getting into the franchise watching this one. They would always play this one after Halloween 4. And I would watch it a lot. I think it's middle of the road. It's the epitome of middle of the road. There's some solid stuff, but there's also some cringe. So I guess we'll start off with like the bad. I don't really like the whole Jamie Mute thing, especially considering how as I was one of those who I don't even know if I really wanted them to make Jamie the new Michael, but at least give a better like how epic Halloween 4 ended to just she's mute now. And we're not going to really explain it and like she's only mute for like 40 minutes and then she talks again. That's so it's not even like if you're gonna have her be mute, either her be mute the whole fucking movie or do more with it. They don't even explain it. Like she's just kind of mute. They have her have this weird like almost telepathy with Michael. So like whatever Michael's doing, she almost like recreates the movements. It just did not work. Tina's a terrible character. The way they kill Rachel off, this is another example of like I mentioned with the Jamie with the Laurie in Resurrection. The way they kill Rachel in this, who was so good in Halloween 4, she just gets stabbed and you don't even see her die. She gets stabbed with scissors and then they cut it. Like Michael stabs her with the scissors and then they cut it. Like that's so you don't even see the like a character like her or a character like Laurie. You gotta kill them off. Like honestly, Rachel should have died where honestly Tina died. If you just swap it, like because how good she was in Halloween 4, and you just kill her off like that. And a lot of the goofy shit, like the goofy cops and stuff. But I guess we'll get more to the positives. Michael, Don, and obviously, okay, I guess another quick negative, the mask was so bad in this. Yeah, the mask wasn't great in 4, but at least it didn't look like someone just sat on it for like 2 days like this one. Or 3 days, probably longer. It was so bad. Like it just every time I watch this movie, all I think is maybe it maybe looked better if he tucked it in too. It just. But I guess we're getting into the positives. Don Shank wasn't a horrible Michael Myers. I actually thought he did a good job. He has that imposing size about him. And the scene with Tina, as bad as that character is, the scene where Tina's with him in the car because she thinks he's Mike, her boyfriend, and he has like the clown mask on. That scene is so creepy, and the music is decent. I like what they did with Loomis. I get because I get what they were doing. I understand some people say it's too over the top, how crazy Loomis went, but it works because it's almost like how much he's trying to stop Michael and research Michael. It will make you crazy. His Michael Myers crazy will make you crazy. How fucking much he's like, especially Loomis, like has looked into him. It works. So I get what they were going for. That's why I kind of like it. The ending isn't good, but overall, Halloween 5 is a middle of the road film. So that is my number 7. Now, my number 6, the true middle, Halloween 2007 or Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. I understand a lot of people hate this movie, but I rewatched it, obviously because I did a Halloween rewatch before Kills. I really like this film. I think there's some stupid shit in it, like obviously the fact that not even 5 minutes in, I'm gonna skull fuck the shit out of you, and a lot of the over the top redneck shit. When you get past that shit, I like how visceral the violence is. The score is okay, and the moment when we get to like the '78 recreation, they do a solid job. I like Tyler Mane as Michael in this specific film, and like I said, I always look at it as a one off. There's no there was no Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I think that's a big reason why this film I think gets a lot of shit is because that second one. I think if you just look at it as a one off, and I look at it as if Rob, almost like what Chris Nolan did with Batman, mainly make the more realistic aspect. I think that's what he was trying to go for with Michael in this. A more realistic Mike. Like, Michael's not supernatural in this. So some of the kills he's going to do, you got to make him a big motherfucker. So that's why I'm okay with it. It's just, you know, if you're going to watch this film, the theatrical version is the way to go. You don't have that fucking random rape scene for no fucking reason. And I like the final act. I think the chase is really good. I like Annie as Annie Brackett, and Scout is okay as Lori. She's not Jamie Lee Curtis, but she's an okay, more modernized Lori. So I overall like this film. This is very much middle of the road, but I like how visceral it is, and I like some of the shots. So Rob Zombie's Halloween is my number 6. Now my top 5. My number 5 is Halloween 2018. This film, I have little issues. I think the ending isn't the best, but I will admit this: Halloween Kills definitely makes a lot of the problems I have with this film. Like Allison, I didn't think was that strong of a character, or Karen, but I understand what they were going for with 2018. They wanted to focus on Laurie and Michael and more of like the nostalgia stuff, but I think they did it right. James Jude Courtney is so good in this. Even in like the opening scene with Sartain, where he's unmasked and everything, and the one reporter guy is showing him the mask, and he like you can see those little movements, and you have some solid kills. I do think they went a little overboard with the off-screen kills, but I think they did a good job. It was shot well. The soundtrack is beautiful. Like, it was nice. It was awesome seeing John Carpenter, who did the original score, come back and do the score with his son in this one, and obviously in Kills. But it was awesome, and The Shape That Hunts Allison is such a fucking awesome score. Because how, like, it's retro, it's a nice throwback score, but it also works as, like, a modernized take on it. You know, And I like what they did with Laurie in this film. I like how Michael made her so crazy, and it's believable because, like, yeah, they almost like Sarah Connor her, like in the good way, like giving her more of that toughened background. But it works because that experience could do that to you. So either way, it worked. This film is what H2O should have been, and not like the one shot scene is so fucking good. Like that whole when he runs into the kids, then he kills the lady in the house, then he gets out of the house, kills the other girl. It's so fucking good. So Halloween 2018 was awesome. So that is my number five. Now we're on like the upper echelon now. Number four is Halloween 6, the theatrical cut. I don't like the producers, and I think that's the version I watched the first time. Because I have an interesting story with this movie. I don't know if I mentioned this in my actual review of this movie. I did not like this film when I first watched it, and I think it's because I watched the producers. That whole weird element with Jamie and Michael, that whole weird incest shit, the whole cult thing. And I'll admit, I still to this day don't really like it, but when you watch the theatrical, over the years, I started watching it more and more, and I just started liking it more. And it's gone up so much within the last, I guess, yeah, last 10 years since I've been a Halloween fan. I really love the theatrical cut of this film. I think there's such good shit in it. Michael is so good in it. It was cool that they kind of brought George P. Wilbur, who was Michael in the fourth film, back because he works. I think this film has some solid shots, the atmosphere. In the scene I'm specifically thinking of is where Michael's chasing Jamie. She's in the fucking farm, and you have like the rain, and she's looking outside, and there's like a quick like lightning flash, and you see like Michael there for like a quick second. It's so good. I like the mask in this. It almost was like I wish this was the mask for the entire Thorn trilogy. Because 4 and 5, 4, I love that film, and that's all I guess I'll spoil. That's my number 3. I wish that mask, I wish he just used the 6 mask the whole time. And the fucking lab massacre is so fucking awesome. How brutal Michael is in this. And the fact is, like, every time he's chasing someone, there's almost like a pep in his step. He's like, he really wants to fucking get you in this movie. I like Paul Rudd as Tommy in this. Like with Loomis in 5, it's almost like he researched Michael so much after what happened to him in 1978, where it made him fucking crazy. So I can believe that. I get some people felt like maybe Paul Rudd wasn't the right guy for that role, and it came off kind of cringy. I get people who don't like this movie, but if you watch this version, the cult takes a back seat and they don't control Michael. They think they do, and then fucking you get the lab massacre. So yeah, I'll admit the weakness is it's not shot well. There's some scenes where it has like this strobe light effect. It's not edited great, and it just kind of abruptly ends. So I'll admit that. But I like Halloween 6. It has gone up within the last few years for me. The theatrical. So that is my number 4 in the franchise. Now my number 3, Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers. Halloween 4 is how you do a comeback. And like I said, I mentioned I like Halloween 3, or as I call it, just Season of the Witch. But a lot of people didn't, so they're like, you got to bring Michael Myers back, and I think this was the way to do it. The only, as like I start off with some of the movies in this, I'm gonna start off with some negatives. The only real negative with Halloween 4 is I wish the mask is better. That mask is not good. There's some shots it looks okay, but man, some scenes it does not look good. But besides that, this film is so good. I like Danielle Harris in it. Considering she was just a kid actress, and I'm mixed on kid actors. There's some that are good, and there's some that are awful. And I thought she did a really good job. I thought Rachel was good in this. Um, you have that like almost reminded me of like Newt and Ripley from Alien. Michael was fucking badass in this. nuts. George P. Wilbur did a really good job. I like how smart they made Michael. Like, he took out the power, he took out the cops, so he can get to Jamie. And the opening is awesome, and I love the music. The music is fucking great. Like, it has like that, a lot. One thing I love about like the Halloween films, like all of them, even some of the bad ones, the themes of the era, like what that specific film. This film came out in 1988, so the late 80s. You have that the theme in this had like a bit of that 80s tinge, but it's still, you have more of that Halloween sound. Like, there's no synth sound anymore, which I was okay with for Halloween too. But it's nice having a more traditional Halloween theme back. And I actually all around like the score. I think it's really good. And then the best thing about this film is the ending. That ending with Jamie is so fucking good, especially because everyone, you read I read when I read comments of like the trailer or what was a review of this film, people who've seen it at the time, they think it's Michael. They think, oh, he somehow came back, but no, it's fucking Jamie. And then Loomis with the gun, and he's like, no, and it's so believable. It's so good, and then the music. Halloween 4 is great. I think this is one of the best sequels, and I hate that it gets kind of lumped in with the bad sequels, so I love it. Halloween 4 is great. So that is my number 3. Now we're in the top 2. My number 2 is Halloween Kills. I understand, there's some issues with this film. I think they could have executed that scene with the patient a lot better. I get what they were going for, but that scene, after watching it 3 times now, they could have executed that better. But overall, and there's some cringy dialogue, but I like Tommy in this. This film made me appreciate things in 2018 that I didn't. I already liked 2018, but there was definitely things I did not like. So this film made me appreciate aspects of that film that I already didn't like. So this film, I like how violent it is. It almost like combines a lot of the best aspects of the Halloween films. I like how Myers, you get that shape Myers at times. This film solidified that James Jude Courtney is my definitive Myers. I like how you kind of like the scene where he. I like how they. I'm not going to go too into because I already reviewed this, but the scenes where Michael just like would kill, but they would not immediately die, so they would almost make like them watch as he kills their friend or with the older woman, her husband. I like shit like that. The music was great again, once again. There's solid character moments like with Tommy and Laurie, or Laurie and Hawkins, and I thought they made me really appreciate characters like Karen and definitely Allison. So that's definitely why I like this film, and I only like it a smidgen better than Halloween 4. Like, it's not like I think astronomically is better than Halloween 4. It's just slightly. And like I said, Michael is a big reason why I love this film, and I like the ending. I'll admit the ending that was leaked was a lot better, and then we're gonna actually see in the whenever the actual Blu-ray comes out, so that'll be cool. But Halloween Kills is my second favorite. Now, number one is 2, so I'm gonna do 1A and 1B. So I'm gonna start off with 1B, which is Halloween 2, because to me this is the actual follow up. Forever will be the true follow up to me. I like the other films, but Halloween 2 is the true follow up. I think that is how you continue a film. Yeah, does the mask look slightly different and some his overalls look a bit different? You can nitpick certain things, be like, that looks a bit different, but they mostly caught 1978 again really well. I love the hospital setting, and there's just some parts where it's just creepy, like the little scenes where you just see Michael walking in the when you see like the security guards, like he's looking at the TV videos, you just see Michael walking in the hallway. It's so creepy. I like the music. I remember when I first got into the franchise, I had to grow into that music because I was like, it sounds like this weird, like almost like Nintendo, Sega, video game sound to it. But it's like the music. It's just because the music's synthy, and I think it works for this film. and it truly captures that first feeling against all. Halloween 2 is great. Now my 1A is obviously Halloween 78. This is the film that kicked off really slasher films. I understand people there were other slasher films before, and definitely like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4 years before this, but this film is what in my view really kicked it off because we got Friday the 13th after that, which then gave us Nightmare on Elm Street. And this film is so simple. That is why it's so great. The simplicity of that original Halloween 78, the music, John Carpenter doing it himself. It's shot well. The characters feel like real people. Dr. Loomis's performance. The scene where he delivers that whole scene where Donald Pleasance just delivers that whole blackest eye speech is so fucking good. So fucking good. That whole delivery. And the final act is really good. The chase is good. Like everything about Halloween 78 is so good. So that is my favorite Halloween film of obviously of all of them. So that's my 1A and 1B, but that is overall my favorite Halloweens in the franchise. I wonder what y'all's are. Yeah, there are definitely some hiccups in this franchise, but I'm happy we got a lot of these movies. Even